Hey, welcome back to my channel, and we're going to look at selling your photos online. So if you're a photographer, professional, amateur, or just someone who's a very big enthusiastic like myself who has thousands and thousands of photos and you'd like to put them to good use, why not sell them online? So where can you actually sell them? So you've probably heard of sites like Shutterstock, Adobe Stock, or iStock. Those stock photo websites are very popular, and I'm going to go through some in a minute, sort of the main ones. There are the other sort of places you can look at are marketplaces. So when I say marketplaces, I'm thinking Etsy and Creative Market. If you haven't looked at either of these, look at them. Honestly, there's some really good options there to sell your photos. You can sell them in bundles or prints, however you want to, but you could have a little look at both of those. Then you can sell them on your website. So if you are sort of professional website, a professional photographer, you can build up your own website. You can sell them directly to people. If you've got a bit of a following, that type of thing, it's a good place to start if you'd like. If you don't want to lean to stock photo sites and marketplaces, you just want something to be yours, then a website's the way to go. And social media. Social media is fantastic for selling pretty much everything. It's just how you storytell, basically. So a lot of people use sort of TikTok to show like the types of photos or them taking photos or what they're doing and then pushing people to their website. So the two are kind of linked. So let's look at stock photo websites fast. So here's Shutterstock. This is how it looks. It is one of the biggest stock photo agencies with millions of downloads daily. This is one of the top ones out there. For people that upload photos, you get 15 to 40% commission per download. It's not terrible. If you put a lot of photos on there, fantastic. It is great for beginners, but the only downside to the site is there is a lot of people selling photos on here. So it could take a while for you to even sell anything, to be honest. Or sometimes you might sell loads because of the quality of photos or what you're taking photos of. So it's a bit of hit and miss with certain people. So it all depends on your photo quality and all of that. So it makes it really competitive. Then you've kind of got Adobe Stock. So this is kind of integrated with the Adobe Creative Cloud. So that's Photoshop, Illustrators. To think along the lines of like creative individuals, people that are in graphic design, those kind of roles will use Adobe Stock. So it is a really good site to kind of upload your photos because most of the photos used is going to be used in sort of promoting stuff and things like that. The great thing about this is the commission is 33%, so that's one of the best rates out there. The good thing with all these stock websites, a lot of them you can just upload to every single site, by the way, so you're not restricted to putting everything on Shutterstock. Sometimes you just need to read the terms and conditions on some of these sites, so it's worth looking into. The great thing with this is it's it's not as competitive as Shutterstock, but it is really quite a busy traffic website. The only thing that you'll find with the Adobe Stock is the types of photos are kind of focusing on lifestyles and diversity and creative themes. So not like generic photos of a desk or like out and about. They're looking for different kind of quality photos. Check out the website, see what kind of images are cropping up. They're kind of looking for bold and different and that kind of sort of photography. If you've kind of got generic sort of nature and that kind of imagery, kind of stick to Shutterstock. Not saying that you shouldn't put it on Adobe Stock, but you might not get as many sales on there. So, Alami is another one. So, this is a UK-based stock agency. It's known for high quality and unique content. This is kind of not a very well-known one, really. Sometimes some people forget about this one for some reason. The commission on this is fantastic, though. So, it's 40 to 50% commission. This, though, I would say is for more professional or semi-pro photographers with sort of a niche in certain imageries and that type of thing. You can see the image like they're showing on their website. That's kind of the quality. That's kind of what they're looking for. The only thing with this is there's less volume than stutter shock, but you will find the higher payout will kind of balance it out. So you might just get like 10 sales, but you'll still get a higher rate of payout, which is kind of awesome on that. But yeah, if you're more professional and you've got your, a really nice camera and you use it for, professional reasons, then this is a site that's worth checking out. And we're moving on to iStock. This is a very, very popular one. It was called Getty Images for a very long time before they kind of switched it, and it's now people know more by iStock basically. So this site is 15 to 45%, depending on exclusivity. That word I never can say. So what that means is basically if you put in content on here, then you'll probably get the higher rate, but it cannot go on any other iStock website. So, like I said, it all depends. All of them have different things, different levels, depending on if you're putting on multiple sites or just one. The best thing with this is, you can get recognized name in the industry from putting photos on here. I believe when you can click on the name of the person, you can see their full catalog, that type of thing, and if you're kind of in a niche, then you'll probably get a lot more sales because, they look at your catalog and go, actually, I like all these photos, I'll start downloading them. So the only upside to this site, I would say, is the fact that you do get a higher rate, but the content has to be exclusive only to iStock, which isn't a bad thing. But if you do want to put your site, your photos across multiple sites, then you kind of got to weigh that up. And this deposit photos. So this is a very fast growing stock site. With kind of like a lower prices. So this is probably gonna lower end cost wise for people buying the photos. So the contributor payout for this site in particular is 34 to 42, depending on the downloads. It is a really good one for beginners who want to get started quickly, and reach those budget buyers. That's kind of your audience. The only downside to this is competition is very high, but if you're uploading that, it's actually accepted pretty quickly, which is actually pretty decent. You'll find with some of these sites when you're uploading, they might reject it, or they just take ages to upload or check if they're good quality and stuff. I think Shutterstock in particular, they had like a moment where they freezed uploads basically, because it was just getting too many at the same time. And then I think it was like a month later, then they were like, right, yep, we can continue now. So sometimes they have these fluctuations. But this site, it's pretty quick, which is nice. And it's beginner friendly, which is awesome for all you amateurs out there. Then we've got Dreamstime. I kind of like this site, to be fair. This is a nice one, actually. This is great for you new photographers. You don't need exclusivity on this. You want to put it on all these websites. This is a site that I've used quite a few times. It's got a good commission rate, so 25 to 50% with bonuses for exclusive photos. So very similar to another site. I think it was iStock. Really popular with community-driven stock photos, natural photos, out and about, that kind of thing. You'll notice when you're going through these that they're kind of different themes. So one will be high quality, some will be like, oh, you want natural, one will be niche. So you kind of just got to think about what kind of photos you're taking, really. But this is a great one if you're starting out. They also have contests, I believe, on this site as well, to help you kind of grow, get really active in community, which is really nice to see, especially on a stock, website like this. But you can get really quite involved and get your name out there a bit more, which is always great. So I'm just gonna briefly show you, well, how it all works. So as you can see, uploading is very, very easy. So you sign up, you upload your work, like I'm demonstrating in this little snippet, and you fill in all of this information. So this is for Shutterstock contributor. When you're going through this, basically what you're doing is you're filling out all the information. You're filling out what it is, firstly, because if people are typing in nature scene, you kind of want to be able your photo to be seen by them. So this is where you'd add keywords, descriptions. If you're really struggling with this part of it, what I would recommend is go on ChatGPT, type in what your photo is about, and ask it for keywords. Because as you can see on the screen, keywords you need about 7 minimum ones, but you can have up to 50, which is fantastic. So you want to kind of get seen, but you always have to choose a category as well. So where does your photo fit? That kind of thing. But it's always really important to fill out all of this as much in depth as you possibly can. So that's why I just use ChatGPT for it. And then what happens is once we just let me continue playing this. So these are some of the things that you'll have to categories decide on. And then once you've done that, then you just hit submit, and then you have to wait for it to be approved, or and just see where it goes from there. So sometimes I know with Shutterstock it will come back with a message, and it will say, oh yeah, poor quality or something. But as you can see on this particular one, in this top corner, it says not submitted, and then you've got pending. Pending means it's waiting, to be approved. And then recently reviewed, and then marketplace catalog. So you can see how many is actually in your catalog photos that you've uploaded. But it's all really straightforward with pretty much every website. So they're all quite similar in the fact that you need to fill in the descriptions and things like that. But like I said, spend some time doing these steps. So I've got a few tips, and here's a few ways to boost your chances of making money. So first of all, focus on in-demand content like business, lifestyle, tech, nature, diversity. So use searchable keywords so people can actually find your work. Your work. You want people to find it. So for example, I mentioned earlier about keywords and descriptions. So for example, do not just put the word dog for a photo. The reason for this is that most people are looking for something specific when they go on to stock websites. So, for example, by putting in the word golden retriever puppy playing in park, golden retriever might bring up, you into the search. Puppy playing in park. These are all different kind of keyword sets that people might actively look for, rather than dog. Dog, that can mean anything. You want to set the scene sometimes with, oh, it's here. So think about that when you're, selling your photos. Keywords really, really matter. But you can find out a lot by doing your own research and, typing in search bar of some of the photos that you have, like what comes up, what kind of keywords. So do some research before you kind of throw everything in, if I were you. What you'll find is uploading regularly is actually a really good thing. It's a bit like social media, the more you kind of show your photos, consistency, it boosts your visibility, it builds up your stock library, it means you potentially get more sales, which is always a good thing. And finally, another thing, when it comes to selling photos, kind of follow some of the trends if you can. If you are looking to make some serious money from doing this, or, build up some sort of income from this, then trends are really important. The main ones at the minute are AI, sustainability, remote working. They're in demand massively. They're used in a lot of advertisements and things like that. But just stay ahead of those trends, because it will really, really help boost your sales. So you could search on some of the websites. You could do a Google search or anything like that. I'm sure there's tools out there to find out top trending photos needed out there. And you can find definitely what photos to take. And it might give you some enthusiasm, a bit more of a plan as to what you're taking photos of. Sometimes you kind of get lost in photos sometimes, where this might be like, right, I want photos of this, okay. And then before you know it, you'll get more sales. So these are sort of the popular images on iStock. By the way, I just went on iStock, clicked on popular images. There's actually there's a little box, clicked on it, and this is what came up. So if you're looking at trends, you really want to, start building up your library, get photos in front of people the right time. Just look at popular images on iStock. Have a look at some of the other websites, see what is popping up and what kind of imagery they're looking at. As you can see, there's a mix of everything. Like there's a mix of close-ups, there's a bit with sun, they've got a mix of, people, actually quite a few people on these ones actually, but at different angles. There's one from above, there's one from the side, one further away, one up close. Do you know what I mean? So this can give you some inspirations of basically what kind of photos you need to be kind of taking and what's really popular at the minute. Because I know sometimes you get a bit stuck going, well, is this actually going to sell? This kind of thing will actually really help you think, oh, actually, I'll take it from this angle and this angle and, this angle, because this is quite popular right now. So have a think about that as well. But this is just on iStock. I'm pretty sure if you go on all the other websites that I've mentioned, they'll have like a popular images section, or you can even type it in Google and see what comes up. It's just to help inspire you. Before I leave you, I am going to share one more thing. So you have loads of photos. There are other ways to sell your photos, by the way, and I'm just going to share 4 of them. So you've got print on demand. I'm not sure if you've heard of this, but basically you take an image and you put it on merchandise like t-shirts, notebooks, God knows, anything really. If you go on print on demand shops, there is everything you could possibly do. You could do posters, do you know what I mean? But this is another option for you if you are hoping, you're really interested in photography. You've got your iStock, uploads, you've put loads of photos everywhere, but you're thinking, I need some more income streams. Here's 4 more for you. So print on demand is really popular at the minute. Very easy to set up. I'm not gonna lie, it literally takes you about 2 minutes to do. And there are so many things that you can put your amazing images on. Then you've got Etsy, which I briefly said about marketplaces. You could do photo bundles. It's really popular on there at the minute. People are looking for templates and things that are already made. Different stock images as well, because most people that use Canva and things like that, or Adobe or something, just get bored of the content. So they will hunt on Etsy for photo bundles, something different. So you can niche down on those kind of bundles and do pretty well there. Like I said as well, point number 3 is your own online store. You could do anything with your online store. You could link it to print on demand, which is a really good idea. You can just sell the prints, get a supplier, print it at home and send it out. I know a few people have had successful businesses through creating their own online store, linking it to Instagram, sharing what they're doing, and you can get a lot from that. If that's, if you want to put more effort into what you're doing, or you can have a subscription. So a bit like owning your own iStock store, really. You can just put all your photos in a library and allow people access. You can drip feed stuff down. Memberships and subscriptions are massive right now. People want to sign up to something that's useful to them, and they're going in with a purpose. And if you can share the value of your subscription, your membership, whatever it is, people stay, and they'll stay for a long time because you're putting high quality photos, they're using it. It's like any other membership. As long as it's useful, they're going to stay with you. But I hope you have learned a lot about selling your photos online. I hope I've inspired you with loads of ideas on what you can do with your photos. There is so much potential on what you can do with it. If you're amateur or you're a professional photographer, the world is your oyster. Basically, you can do whatever you want with them, but start today. If you really want to start building an income, start doing it today. Have a lot of cup of teas and biscuits, by the way, when you're uploading photos. It takes a long time, but once it's done, it's done. That's the main thing. But like I said, use tools like ChatGPT or one of the other ones to help you with the keywords, to help make the process a lot faster. And if you're interested in, doing something a bit different, maybe you're thinking, actually, I don't want to put them on all these stock websites, it sounds like a lot of effort, then try something else. Try one of these ideas in front of you. Print on demand is a fantastic idea. If you've got some really amazing nature scenes or something like that, people will buy it. Or, sell it on Etsy. Etsy stores are pretty easy to set up. I'm setting one up currently. Set your store up, subscriptions. There's so many ideas you can do. So don't think you're taking all these amazing photos and they just need to sit on your hard drive somewhere. Use them. People love that kind of thing, and somebody will buy it. So I hope you found this really helpful. Subscribe to my channel. I have got loads of other fantastic videos coming out about side hustles, growing creative businesses, useful tools to help you, reviews. I've got so much content to share with you guys, and I'm really, really excited. So subscribe today.